Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
You gotta watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Watch your thinking.
Podcast, really excited. Welcome to A Creator-Based Life, the weekly podcast for CMH Coaching. We empower women of faith to create the lives they love, the lives they have always wanted. And I'm here with Jaycine, a business coach, a mom, a grandma, and an avid runner, and Jennifer DeRuse, a coach, a can grow anything gardener, and a hypnotherapist. And I'm Beth, a master life coach, author, and creator of the Creator-Based Way. Create your one awesome, amazing, perfect life. We are going to have fun today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about this particular topic. We're going to start by just telling some personal stories. Let's see if our podcast listeners can know what we're talking about from stories. How do we share the stories? Because I know everybody's prepared something.
Well, I can start
Okay.
with sharing my story. So, being an avid runner, I ran for a few years with a friend, neighbor, and I say neighbor loosely because we live in the country. And I would run to her house, which is 2 miles, and then she would run back to my house with me. So that was 4 miles, and then she would run back to her house. So we ran together, and then she moved, and I continued to run my 4 miles, but it was kind of lonely. I really missed that sisterhood early in the morning, and I'm a morning person, or I really thought I was a morning person until I met Nina. And Nina wanted to start running, and Kara wanted to start running. And so we would all meet. We were kind of in the country, but pretty far apart. So we would meet near Nina's house, and we would run our 4 miles together. And pretty soon, like I would get there, and Nina would be like, she's like, Beth, you guys, just so you know, like Nina, first thing in the morning, like she literally would be like, oh my gosh, it's dark out, and here I'm seeing, oh, I got to use my flashlight. Now it's blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh my gosh, can you believe the stars this morning? Look,
so pretty.
And doesn't it feel good to breathe in that morning air? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that is a true morning person. So, and full gratitude, right? So love Nina. And as we kept running together, we decided we needed something a little more. We needed intention, because I think our thing was just more conversing and having that camaraderie, and yay, aren't we yet good because we're getting out here early in the morning and doing this. But we shifted, still including that because that was important, but we shifted our intention to maybe we could run this a little faster. what would happen if we actually had a goal? What would happen if we tried to run that hill that we've been avoiding? And as we did that, then we began to expand. And that expansion, we were narrowing it down, but then it expanded to, what if we decide to run a marathon?
Whoa.
And guys, I was in my 40s, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this would be a great time to be a really good example to my children and let them know that life doesn't end when you're 40. And so I thought, okay, why don't we? And it was a really fun thing to do as we focused on that intention. First of all, we're like, none of us had ever run a marathon. How do we first start it? Right? So learning about it, creating a plan that we would do together, and then carrying out that plan together. And it was such a cool experience to actually do that with 3 other people and cross that finish line together. And just
that is so good.
Yeah. And it was just amazing when we collaborated, right? And we came together and we all had that same focus and that same intention. If you would have told me, when I had first started running, that I was going to run a marathon, I would have laughed in your face. I would have been like, there is no stinking way I'm ever going to. No, are you kidding me? But just being able to believe that I could, that was the first thing, was the thought of, oh, maybe I can. And then having a purpose instead of it was, oh, it's about Nina and Kara and Jenn. And then it became, no, it's more than that. It's about me showing my children how to live life and to continually live life. And then it became more like, oh my gosh, I'm showing myself that I know how to live life and continue on. So anyway, that's my story.
That is an amazing story. Okay, so we're not going to tell you more stories because your story illustrated it so well. Okay, so can you guess? I'm going to give you a minute just to think about what happened in Jaycine's story. And can you guess what we're going to talk about today? Jenn knows. You can't guess, Jenn, because you have the speaking points.
I know. So
yeah,
I'm not going to guess.
I'm sorry. Jenn can't guess. Okay. So did you guess? Did you think about it? What did she do? She enjoyed running. She had this group of friends that she focused with, and she did their running routines together. They grew and they changed and they focused. Yeah. We're talking about focus today and about what you might say your life focus has been and how your focus may have changed as you've grown up. I'll tell you a little bit about me and my life focus. When I was a little girl, one of the very first memories I have is grabbing the pad of paper out of my mom's nightstand drawer and writing on it, like cursive writing. Now, it didn't look like cursive writing. It looked like lines that went up and down and all over the page, right? But I was in there to take a nap and I was raiding her drawers and I was, oh my gosh, and I was in seventh heaven because I was writing. And then I went to school, and the happiest experience I had in school was the day I learned to read. Then in the summer, my poor brother, 18 months younger than I was, always had to come down in the basement and play school because I wanted to teach him something. And so we had old school books taken from one of the elementary schools that had closed. And that poor boy, he's so patient. And he had to sit there and do English and math, and I would teach him. That was me. And so it went on until I got married and I had children, and we homeschooled and we kept growing. And I learned all these things about alternative and complementary medicine and all these different things about how to grow people and have a good attitude. And lo and behold, here I am, from the 4-year-old who scribbled on her mom's thing, her pad of paper, that's kind of been my focus. And it shifted in lots of different ways as my circumstances have changed, but it's been pretty consistent all the way through my life. I'll never forget the beautiful feeling of writing on that paper. That was my first. That was amazing. Jenn, is there a way that you've seen your focus in your life and maybe it changed as you grew?
Oh, definitely things have changed throughout my life and that. But I was thinking about this and it's like, I think just at a very young age, I knew something about myself, but I didn't. I'll illustrate this. So when I was super young, I want to say maybe 4 or 5, same around, some of my first, you really, your real memories, whatever. But my mom would tell me about this and I'd be like, well, I think it explains me a little bit. Was they took me to the circus and I fell in love with the circus. And we came back from the circus and I just told my mom, I'm going to go join the circus.
Wow.
I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm joining the circus.
That's
Mom.
who I'm going to be.
That's who I'm going to be, And so I think from this young age, I've always had this like adventurous spirit in the sense of I want to go try things.
Mm-hmm.
And not that, it has to be the circus, but that was the biggest thing outside of my little world that I thought, this is amazing. So I've kind of had this like spirit of like just wanting to try an adventure and explore. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. And so, and it's so not my mom and dad. I think I have some brothers and sisters who are that way, but it just was not my mom and dad.
Yeah.
And never left the United States until I was, in my 20s. So it's just like, or even rarely, it was just, I don't know. So I was kind of thinking, I think I had this little part of me that always wanted to explore. And as Beth was talking about how she ended up in this profession to continue to teach people, I'd like to explore with people their own inward world and the things that they can change. Like, so I think I still kind of am a little bit more of an explorer and adventurer.
Uh-huh.
So this kind of came to me when we were talking about it. It's like, yeah, I think I've created my own circus and joined my own circus.
Well, and weren't we just talking last week, talking in Coaching Clear last week, we were talking about what does the inside of your head look like? Mm-hmm. And one of the girls in the group was like, oh, it's a still lake. And I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. Another one was, it's a woodsy path, walking through the woodsy path. And it was so funny because Jenn and I both just popped up and I'm like, oh no, it's a circus. It's just a circus.
Mine was recess. Everybody was at recess.
Yeah, recess.
Having fun. Yeah, but it's still the same thing. Like there's something going on, Yeah.
It's your focus. It's who you are and who you've always been. And the nuances of your life as your life has changed and the way your focus has changed.
Yeah. But that like adventurous or exploration type spirit has led me to the things that I do in my life and the things I learn.
Like
and
what?
Yeah.
Like
so,
what?
Oh, like, gosh, coaching, emotional code, body code, hypnotherapy. All this is like, even what I did in like my education in college, it was all just, So, yeah.
Yeah. Exploration and really getting into what makes you tick, right? What's inside and why that all works. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Think too, Jenn, I think that was a real gift for you to have ever since you were little because of what you went through with the accident that almost claimed your life and you had to rebuild your life from that. I think if you wouldn't have been that type of a person, that was a great exploration. That was a circus.
A grand adventure.
Yeah.
Because you might not be walking today, but for that spirit of adventure, right?
And as my grandpa put it, my hard-headedness.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Determined.
Yeah. He'd never seen such a hard-headed child. I'm like, well, I knew myself, I guess,
Yeah, but I'm sure your recovery was hard and you needed that hard-headedness, that focus.
The determination,
That determination, yeah. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was a concept that's developed by David Emerald, and he calls it FisBe. And he says it's not the frisbee that you throw, it's FisBe, FISBE. And it fits in really well with what you did when you came back from your accident. you think are you comfortable sharing, kind of share that story? And we
Yeah.
can talk about it in terms of the FisBe approach.
Yeah. Well, I hope I share, there's a lot of the story. I hope you share what you want. If not, you pull out what you need, because I know you're familiar with it. But now, when I was 20, my dearest friend in the world and I were involved in a head-on collision with a drunk driver. And he was going 75, and we were actually trying to get off the road because we saw him coming. But yes, she died in that accident, and I sustained just from head to toe injuries, multiple head injuries, brain injuries. They had to take out my spleen. My neck was broken. They just reconstructed my ankles. I mean, it's just like there's all this stuff, internal injuries. In fact, they didn't think I was going to survive, but I did. But it was
grateful.
Absolutely. Well, and it was through miracles. It was definitely a miracle situation.
Yeah.
And especially the state that I'm in now, because I should not be talking. I should not be walking. I should not be doing this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But there was an element of when they would tell my parents what was wrong with me, and they'd tell me what was wrong with me, there's an element of it, me just going, yeah, no. Yeah. No. Yeah. I understand what you're telling me. I accept that.
That's not where we're going.
That's not where we're going. And it was interesting because, they were, and I can't even imagine a parent going through this with a child, but they remained in a very much a state of fear throughout my recovery. And then even throughout my life, because they relied solely on what the doctors told me this was what my life was going to be, and not what my life was becoming, or, and even the stuff that I shared with them. So it was really interesting how a lot of what they wanted me to stay in was that victim mindset.
But they didn't even know. They just wanted to protect you.
Exactly.
But
it was
their focus was a victim mindset. But your focus was definitely a growth mindset, right?
Because I was like, I'm freaking 20. I'm not going to stay this way. I'm like, no, I got things to do.
I got a life to live. Come on.
I had to go join my circus. I had to go. It was like I still was like going to want to do all these things, and I didn't know what they were. I still want to do all these things. So
and that's what that in FisBe, that's what that F stands for, was focus. And your focus is, I want to do all these things.
Yeah,
I want to do my circus. And so the IS in FisBe is the inner state that your focus creates. Mm-hmm. So what would you say, what inner state did you create in your recovery process with the focus of, no, I'm 20 years old. I'm not going to stay this way.
Yeah. So the inner state it was really super interesting because there was just some type of knowing inside of me. Mm-hmm. This was not where I was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yep.
And I could stay there, but this was not where I was supposed to be. So just, get up and get moving, get up and get going, start living your life, start doing. Yeah. But there was a lot of, how you like to say, failure to fail upward. There was a lot that I had to do but it was so amazing to me when it was like following that inner drive or that inner state of, like you're just not where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And in having those failures or those like, well, but my body is not there yet. Mm-hmm. And then having that, like, okay, calling out to the Lord and we're saying, okay, now try it again. And then being able to do it because it's like,
or put your foot this way. Yeah. And then you could do it.
Yeah. I brought him into it, kind of saying, I kind of felt that you promised me this, or why did you pull me through this way to only let this be the end? I don't think so. Or this be the stopping point. I don't think so. And him being like, no, it's not. But it's like, I had to like call him in, like say, okay, now I'm ready to do it with you. I've done all that I feel I can do, but now you got to make up the difference because I don't know how this part works.
Well, and your focus on him knowing that he would make up the difference really shifted that power. That interstate power. And of course, then that goes to the BE in FisBe. So F is focus, IS is interstate, BE is your behavior. And so your behavior is probably what floored your doctors, right?
My parents,
and your parents.
You can't do that. You're damaged. Or, you're like, oh, you're try. And right. I don't know, there was some fear. I was just like, well, I'm never going to know unless I try.
Mhm.
And yes, it was painful at times. I mean, like, I'm going back. So I was in college when it happened. And basically my education was like Swiss cheese. It's like, I would look at a book and I go, I know I read this book and I enjoyed it, but I could not tell you the storyline. But then I would be like, okay, I know this equal, this plus this equals this. So it's like, it's really strange. And so I was very fortunate that the president of the university, where I was going to actually, my friend, her father and mother both worked as professors at the university. And my mom was actually working there too. So they knew what had happened. And he basically said, take whatever classes you need and take the final. And if you feel like you failed, we just won't count it. I mean, like, he was able to go in, and so it wouldn't affect
cool.
my academic.
Right.
And there were some I had to, I just was like totally fell apart, but then there was some that was like, this was really enjoyable. I worked really hard and I was okay with it. So it was really interesting to find like the holes in in where you were. And I totally forgot the point of what I was saying. What was your question?
Well, let's go back to the focus. It's okay. Let's go back to the focus then. When you went back to school, the focus was, I'm going to finish school.
There were times it was hard and you would fail. But yet there was, it's like, you can still find the lesson and the value in that failure to help with moving forward instead of having be a complete stop.
Yeah. I was reading this weekend about the fires on Maui and the recovery efforts there.
Right.
And it was really really inspiring to hear the focus of the people on Maui. The reporter was saying, there's not grumbling. There's not, oh, poor me. There's not victimhood. There's so-and-so has a need here. Can you help us with that need?
Oh, wow.
So the focus was all outward. And as they were sending their energies outward to take care of each other, everyone was being cared for. And the interstate with that kind of an outward focus is so giving and so kind and so loving that the behavior naturally shifts into real progress. She was really impressed with the way things were going there. And it's only been such a short time, there's still really chaotic place. But what other situations can you think of where there's the focus creating the interstate and then the behavior, good and bad? Let's do a couple that are problem focused. It's hard to come up with one, right? Okay, somebody. What do you want? What problem focus? Something that's going to be just awful.
So yes, I have struggled with this in my life, but it's always been like the eating exercise cycle.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're eating the right foods and moving your body, you're going to get the best outcome. But if you're not, you're going to get the worst or like the pudgy outcome. And so it's like, eat the bad foods and not move your feet.
Well, and the focus, like for me, we're going with that same thing. When my focus is on loving kindness towards myself, my inner state is much more peaceful and my behavior means I eat well. But if for some reason my focus shifts, like maybe I don't eat well and my inner judge comes out and starts berating me and my focus turns into self-loathing, my inner state and then my eating all suffer.
Yeah.
And so until I can shift my focus back to that self-love or to something that's positive, I can't really change my behavior. Is that what you've seen as well?
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference. What about you, Jaycine?
Well, I was thinking about, so this last weekend, we had the wonderful blessing of going to the mountains, which is one of my favorite places, to ride our horses. And we had our 14-year-old granddaughter with us. And as we were riding, my husband tends to focus on, it's all about the safety and
he's a protector, right?
Yes,
just tell the girls he's a retired cop.
He's a retired cop. Yeah, he's like, he wears a sign that really isn't a sign that says, need help, ask me, that's that kind of a guy. And so we're out riding horses. And before we go, he's telling Gemma, okay, now these are all the things that could happen. This is,
This could go wrong, or this could go
if
wrong.
the horse starts to go down, then you got to jump. I mean, just like this whole focus on all of the things that could go wrong. And I remembered our daughter, who rode horses also, but she quit riding because she said it just wasn't fun. It was I was so worried about everything that was going to happen that I just was I couldn't enjoy what I was actually doing. And so, so the focus, and that was the one thing I told Gemma. I said, okay, I understand Grandpa just gave you,
He
which
loves
is
you. He wants you to be protected.
Yes. Yeah. Sound advice. But here's what I want you to focus on. Number one, the horse loves you. Like,
good job.
Loves you. And that horse loves her. He does. Number two, he will take care of you. And number three, you need to take care of him. And so, if he stumbles on the thing, look ahead of yourself to find out what's coming up. And is there a different path that you can take so that he might not stumble? But if he does, how are you going to help pick him back up again? So it was, yes, we've got the protector things, but then let's give some focus on what, the love, the kindness, and it was just, she just had a beautiful whole weekend of riding. And I could have focused on my saddle sore bum because I really have. And day 3, I was like, oh, this saddle. Are you kidding me? So, and then just my outward focus was more about, hey, this isn't, as I sat in the saddle and I focused more on what we were seeing and the beauty all around me and that love, again, that outward focus. Yeah. Saddle wasn't an issue anymore. And the saddle
inner state changed, right? Your inner state went to peace with the outward focus.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. I love David Emerald's FisBe. I just think it's genius because you can take it in any situation, especially when you're struggling, when you're sitting in traffic. I know y'all have heard the story of me coming up to the stop sign at the end of my country road and there being three cars on the road and I had to wait and there was traffic. Okay. So the 3 cars on the road, that was a big deal to me, but that focus changed my inner state instead of the focus like I could have had about the beauty on the country road around me. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the behavior is completely different. It's just such a neat way to look at, why am I uncomfortable right now? What's my focus been? Why am I cranky? Why am I irritated? Why am I hot and bothered? And to be able to go in and look at what was my focus? How did that inner state become that way? And we don't want to go with that behavior. What do you guys use to shift your state when you get there? I know we've all done FisBe before. That's something we're familiar with, but what other things do you use to shift your focus? Because we get stuck in some pretty negative focus sometimes. Yeah.
Phone a friend and have a friend help me out.
Phone a friend.
Yeah.
Talk you off the cliff. That's right.
Yep.
Sometimes I just have to have a good stomp around the house or around the yard. Sometimes I have to get the energy out.
Yeah.
If it's more of like that, irritation, frustration, or anger energy, sometimes I just have to move my body to get it out. Changing the location, like go out on a walk, just kind of that helps with it. At least.
Yes. I love my dog. I'll love on my dog or throw the ball for my dog or whatever. That really changes my focus because I just love him. And so that shifts me out of that inner state of grumbling for whatever offended me, It makes a big difference. On a regular basis, we can actually shift our focus long-term through some practices. I know there's one, Jaycine, that you have introduced often of what went well.
Right.
What are you most proud of? You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. So I can go really quickly to what went wrong. And I work in a business where I coach doctors and their teams. And oftentimes during these team discussions, there's a lot of finger pointing on so-and-so didn't do this and so-and-so didn't do that. And, the patient, it actually ends up being the loser, and as well as the people. And so a long time ago, that was one of the things that every coaching call that I had with my doctors is, tell me what's gone well this month or this week.
What are you most proud of?
Yeah. What are you most
I remember when you asked that question the first time with our coaches, what are you most proud of? And I thought, ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Because it shifts that whole energy. And as well as when our patients come in, we don't ask them, I don't train them to ask the patients, how are you doing today? In our clinic, my go-to when a patient walked in the door was, what's the best part of your day?
Nice. What's the best part of your day?
Because it got them to think. Our whole mantra is we treat our patients mind, body, and spirit. And so if I'm doing that, if I'm having them focus on what's wrong, how are you feeling? Well, I still hurt. I still blah, that's focus, right? But when we change that and we have them focus on, hey, what's the best part of your day? Some people would say, well, I got up. Well, awesome.
I'm standing.
Right? That's so cool. So anyway, yeah.
And then their inner state changes and their behavior changes. Yeah. Exactly. Just like that. Yeah. One of the ones that I really like is taught by Lynn Colston, one of the Bright Line eating coaches. And she talks about practicing the pause. And she doesn't necessarily look for what went well as much as she takes 3 deep breaths and pauses. And for me, when I do that, it's like the yuck just kind of drains off with the 3 deep breaths. And doing it 3 times a day changes the way my brain responds just in general. Instead of that, because that default focus of looking for problems seems to shift more easily to a default focus of gratitude, which really makes a difference for me. Yeah. Sleep's a big one too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Getting the sleep your body needs. Yeah. And eating. Jenn brought up eating. What about exercise? Do you notice a difference when you run and when you don't run in your focus, Jaycine? And your inner state and your behavior? How is that affected? Yeah.
So running or exercising, because I after knee injury, it's been hard to get back to running. There's a lot of owies that happen. So that's been really hard. However, with the walking and daily exercising and stretching, and I'm moving more into yoga, which to me was so boring. Like,
oh my gosh, I love yoga. Quieter is better.
You've been like, stick a pencil in my eye. Really? Like, this is too low. I can't possibly handle it. However, because I have been forced to slow down, that it changes things. It really, really does. Just moving your body every day, some type of movement is so important. And again, it's oxygen to our brain. That's what the breathing does. It gets oxygen to our brain. And then the right part of our brain, the thinking part of our brain, can actually work instead of the fight or flight part of our brain, which oftentimes we tend to live there too often. Yeah. Same thing with exercise. That's what it does.
Yeah. And it, like Jenn was saying, she's got to get out in the yard and stomp around. It releases that pent up energy.
Pull a few weeds.
Pull a few weeds in a big way. Take that, you weed. That's right.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I've always tried, to change the negative, because I was definitely raised in an environment of everything was wrong. Something was always wrong. Something was always, So I've been really trying to focus on changing. I want to see possibility. I want to see gratitude. And this is hard for my brain. So because, to me, finding a problem is something I can solve, I can fix, and then my life will be easier or better. So it's been really kind of an interesting shift to kind of be like, I want my main way of thinking to be that of possibility and that of gratitude. And it wasn't until in one of our mastermind classes, one of the ladies said that she started to ask every day to find the beauty and the love in every situation. Like, where's the beauty? Where's love? For some reason, that really clicked in my brain.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to find the opposite of my problem, find the positive or find this, I just look for beauty and love. And it takes me out of that like problem space. I'm not changing what my problem is I'm thinking about. I'm just now looking at a different thing in a different way. So it's been really good for me.
I love it. Okay, let me just share a fun fact about aging. As we age, there are parts of our brain that continue to grow. And the part that works with solving problems, like you were just talking about, trying to, well, if this happens, then that happens, actually continues to grow as we age. That's where wisdom comes from. So you have that to look forward to as you age. That's why it's abstract thinking and being able to understand the nuances and how to shift things around. That continues to grow until we die. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, I really loved that. And I loved it when you're talking about, shifting it around, your abstract thinking.
And you know what? I really loved is that this happened in Mastermind. And for y'all that are out there, go to
CMHcoaching.com.
Yeah, thank you.
Click on the mastermind. Yep.
Yeah. It is so powerful. Coach and Clear, super powerful. Book club, that is free. Join the 50/50 Girl Club and you get the book club. Just there's so much there and you deserve it.
Yeah.
And you really do. And you've got to take care of you so that you can take care of all those other people that are coming into your life and asking.
Well, and if you consider when you take care of yourself, you are giving service to others. As you nourish yourself and you learn the things that you need to learn for you, it makes all the difference to the people around you. Their world is better because you're taking care of yourself.
It's so true.
It's a disservice to run yourself into the ground. Then somebody's got to take care of you. You make more work for them. So take care of yourself. Yeah.
Or you're just laying flat on your bed and
yeah.
Nobody,
So let's talk about the taking care of you part. We talked about, you brought up Coach and Clears tomorrow, book comes Wednesday, but we have Mastermind tonight. It's a good week. CMH coaching. But our big annual event's coming up with U Week. You want to share about U Week, Jaycine? Oh, I'm so stoked about U Week. I
know. U Week, it's once a year and it's just time for you. It's time for you to come and fill your bucket. It's time for you to come and just get some truths that you've been missing, or maybe you've forgotten about, that you can just add into your life. And we saw this last year with U Week. We had our youngest person participating was 19 years old and all the way up to in their 70s, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's for everybody and you deserve it. You will find things that will help to change your life.
It's just eye-opening. Yeah. And the camaraderie and the support, the community is huge to be able to come to U Week. And it's not expensive and it's very doable. And if you can't be there every night, that's okay because we record it. And so if there's a night you have to miss, you'll get the recording. So it is really a beautiful event. We only do it once a year because it's a bunch of work and it's just that special.
Sign up today. Like if you're interested, or even if you want to know about it, but you're not quite ready to like dive in and do it, just go sign up for the emails, the weekly emails, because you'll get
all the
emails
stuff on
regarding
it.
your work week. So if you're curious, just go to cmhcoaching.com and sign up for the weekly emails. Minimum.
It's
one.
also on Eventbrite. You can just go to Eventbrite and search U Week and it'll come up.
Yeah.
Because that's Eventbrite is being kind enough to host for us this year, which is going to make it so much better.
So cool.
Yeah. So FisBe, focus, interstate behavior. Let's do that this week. Let's focus on what we want to have happen. Let's focus on the exciting and the good and the U week and the growth and the taking care of us and the nourishment, and watch how our interstate changes and how our behavior reflects to make the world so much better. Want to try it? Really focus.
I love it.
All right.
Yep.
I'm doing it. And next week we'll talk again. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Great to see everybody. Now, stop the live stream. I did it. And
There we go.
stop the recording.
When I'm feeling down and blue, I found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. If I wake up with a bad attitude, I fill my mind with
Hey, thanks for joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on Linktree/cmhcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and life in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
What you thinking? What you thinking? What you thinking? What you thinking? You gotta watch. What you thinking? What you thinking? You got to watch your thinking. When I'm feeling down and blue, I found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. And if I wake up with a bad attitude, I just fill my mind with gratitude. I give thanks for everything with every little thought I think. I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day I pave the way with every little thought I think. Day by day I pave the way with